Hello, everybody. This is the Pocket Passer, and I am your host, Randy White. I hope all of you are having a fantastic day. I know I am. It's Wednesday, December 6th. We've got a fun video planned for you, but first, here's the news. First on the news, an unfortunate storyline. Hayden Hurst was diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia. Essentially, he struggles to make new memories after his injury that took place earlier this year. So he's been suffering from confusion and worsened memory retention. So terribly unfortunate news for Hayden Hurst. I'm hoping that he's able to make a full recovery. I don't know the logistics of that affliction. I don't know how long it takes to recover. I don't know if you can recover it to completion and how long that would take, all those kinds of things. I don't have the details, but that's the gist of it. So hopefully he's able to make a full recovery. Now on to team news. The Jets released Tim Boyle. Shocker. Guys, I told you Zach Wilson wasn't the problem. And although he's not a great quarterback, in fact, not very good at all, the idea that somehow the offense was going to magically start scoring points and the offensive line was going to magically learn how to block due to a quarterback change was hilariously stupid. Zach Wilson was scapegoated. Of course, there was the storyline that he might not play and that when the Jets turned to him to ask him to start again, he was reluctant to take the job. Aaron Rodgers kind of squashed those rumors. Now, obviously, Rodgers is Zach Wilson's teammate. We don't know how valid that squashing of rumors is. Rodgers could easily just be protecting Zach. But whatever the case is, Zach Wilson has been announced as the starter. He will be playing again this Sunday. So, important change of events for the Jets. They need a new quarterback. And obviously, they're not going to get a new quarterback, but Zach Wilson's better than Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian. Good God almighty. That's rough. That's terrible. Money Mason, former kicker for the Packers, all-time leading scorer for the Packers, signed with the Rams. So I'm very excited for Mason Crosby to get another opportunity. I'm happy he still has a chance to ball out in the league like I know he still can. Very excited for Mason Crosby. Texans sign former Packer and Jet Adrian Amos. And the 49ers sign former Giants and Patriots DB Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan is a guy that I would trade for in Madden franchises back in like Madden 16 and 17. I could have sworn the man was like 36 years old. Turns out he's only 32. Who would have thought that? Veteran player, veteran leadership on a defense poised to make a Super Bowl run. I like this move a lot. And of course, as you guys would know if you watched the Monday night Bengals-Jags game, I only watched the end of the fourth quarter and overtime because I thought the game was going to suck. I recorded like 3 Madden videos. I look at my phone and see the scores 31-28 Bengals lead. The Jags then answer with a field goal. I find out Trevor Lawrence had just gotten hurt. I'm like, oh God, what a disaster. Lawrence has a sprained ankle, and hopefully he's able to return soon. What I'm hearing is it's a uphill battle for him to return this Sunday. And on that note, let's get into the main piece of the episode. It's Randy's Ranks time. And we're going to start with quarterbacks today. Starting off at number 10, I've got Jared Goff. He's been very good this year. I got to give him credit, but his play has slipped over the last few weeks. He's had some trouble playing high-level football in key moments. We just haven't seen it really from him. He's been inconsistent the last few weeks, and that's going to cause him to drop a little bit. I still like him a lot. I just think he needs to drop a little bit. He's come down from being elite to above average the last few weeks. So that's really my only gripe with him. Still very good. At number 9, I have nothing against this man's leadership. I think Jalen Hurts has the right mentality. He's great at the podium. He's got excellent leadership. I think the way he handles adverse situations is fantastic. There's so much to like about the intangibles. And on the field, there's so much to like about his athleticism. But the reality is, his arm is marginally gifted for an NFL quarterback, and I don't believe that he is an elite processor of information, especially when throwing the ball over the middle of the field. I see him make mistake after mistake throwing the ball over the middle of the field. He holds onto the football too long. frequently. He takes advantage of that excellent offensive line, but sometimes it bites him. Yes, he's a great athlete. He can make amazing plays. But let's be real here. A lot of these touchdowns, guys, especially the rushing touchdowns, well, specifically the rushing touchdowns, in which he has, I think, 10 tush push touchdowns. That's the offensive line. That's him getting pushed in. Yeah, he's scoring, but that doesn't make him an elite quarterback because he can fall forward 1 yard. So yeah, the touchdowns are great on the ground, but if you're going to tell me that a man that, yes, he throws a beautiful deep ball, that he does very well, but I also see him underthrow passes in crucial moments, make terrible reads in crucial moments. The Eagles have just kind of found a way to win this year, but we saw against the Jets, okay, pass to end the game, throws a game-losing pick. We see the 49ers, all right, we're going to stop the run, we're going to force you to throw, and what does Jalen Hurts do? Jack squat. He does nothing. Despite having the best offensive line, despite having a top 4 wide receiver, arguably in A.J. Brown, and another very good wide receiver in Devontae Smith, and a very good tight end in Dallas Goedert. Is the play calling worse this year? Is that affecting things? Yes. But Jalen Hurts is not an elite passer. He's a very good quarterback, and I think overall he's higher than 8. But right now, specifically, he's playing hurt, and he's not playing at as a high level as he could be playing at. I have him at 9. Number 8, Brock Purdy, the man who just bludgeoned Jalen Hurts' Eagles team. Brock Purdy was phenomenal last week, phenomenal the week before, and the week before that, and the week before that. He's been great in all 9 of their wins. Not very good in their 3 losses, but great in all of their wins. He's been terrific. Up there in every passing stat you can imagine, up there in yards. He's got more yards and more touchdowns and less picks than Mahomes. He's been phenomenally efficient. He's not better than Mahomes, but this narrative that Brock Purdy is some just average Joe that's benefiting off of this God Squad roster. People want to act like he's playing for the Avengers. The reality is the 49ers offensive line is average at best outside of their left tackle. He's amazing. Everyone else, could be better. That offensive line's overrated, quite frankly. The weapons, yes, great. But if you'd like to look me in the eyes and tell me Deebo Samuel is a better pure receiver than A.J. Brown, I will call you crazy to your face. That's not the case. A.J. Brown is the better pure receiver. Jalen Hurts has him. Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Smith, I give the edge to Brandon Ayuk. It's very close. It's very close. Tight end, sure. Kittle. Running back, sure. Purdy. Offensive line, Hurts with the Eagles. Absolutely. It's very close. So if you want to act like Brock Purdy has the Avengers and he's average, and Jalen Hurts, because he played for Alabama and everyone knows who he is and everyone wants him to succeed because he is super likable, but we'll just ignore the fact that his supporting cast is amazing and say that he's a top 5 quarterback. Not how this works. Not how this works. Do I think Jalen Hurts is overall a better quarterback than Brock Purdy? Yes, but is Brock Purdy playing much better right now? Also, yes, Brock Purdy at 8. At 7, Lamar Jackson. His stats look nice. He's playing very good football, but he's kind of being asked to be a game manager, if I'm being honest with you. He's not a game manager, but he's also not an MVP caliber quarterback right now. His touchdown interception ratio or his touchdown to turnover ratio is, it's all right. He's not scoring a ton. He's not throwing for a ton of yards. He's not even rushing for a ton of yards. The offense is performing well, and he's operating within the structure of that offense and occasionally making wild plays, which are the highlight reels we see. But they're low-scoring defensive games majority of the time, besides their shellacking of the Lions. They haven't asked Lamar to be put in a tight throw-to-win situation really much this year. And by the way, when he was put in that situation, he threw a pick on the goal line on a terribly inaccurate fade ball to Odell against the Steelers, okay? Now listen, was it Lamar's fault they lost that game? No. Receivers dropped 3 touchdowns and 170-plus yards of receiving, okay? And the receiving core's not that great. I get that. And Lamar's great. That's why I have him at 7. But this idea that he's an MVP candidate, that he's a top 5 quarterback right now. Not the case. The stats don't show it. The film doesn't show enough of it. And his production doesn't show enough of it. That's just the reality of the situation. Number 6, Patrick Mahomes. He's still great. The offense is struggling. The offensive line is struggling. And especially the receiving core is struggling. Travis Kelce's production has dropped off. The receivers are bad. The running game, at times, good. It's fairly inconsistent. Isaiah Pacheco, I love him, but there's just not a ton of consistency there. We're asking Mahomes to win games with his arm. That's obviously capable of doing that because Mahomes is Mahomes. They're a defensive-minded team, though. This is a team, more than ever, that is led by their defense. They've just suffered several key injuries to their defense. It's going to be tough for them to continue to play quality defense with those main guys out. They need to get healthy. Their receivers need to somehow learn how to play receiver at the NFL level if they want any hope of competing for an actual Super Bowl. As of now, I got Mahomes at 6. It's not his fault the team around him is failing. I still think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, but how he's playing right now places him at 6. Number 5. Everyone wants to talk about the turnovers and the losses and how they're a 500 team and how great everything is for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and how he's letting them down. But it's just the opposite. The Bills have Josh Allen and they have Stephon Diggs, and the list ends right there. Gabriel Davis prefers to have a big game and then vanish for weeks at a time. The defense losing their stars, they're non-existent. No Matt Milano, no Tre'Davious White. That defense is a shell of itself. Sean McDermott, not very good play calling from the defensive side of the ball this year. It's been very disappointing to see this Bills team crumble, their window closing, and they just can't seem to get out of their own way. Josh Allen is the only reason this Bills team has more than 3 wins. They're asking him to do everything because there's not a single other player in the offense that can take the load off even a little bit. It's the Josh Allen show through and through. Yes, he's a gunslinger. He's going to turn the ball over. He's got a lot of Favre in him. But just like Favre, who retired with the most interceptions of all time, Favre has hailed a top 10 quarterback in the history of the league. Guess what? He retired with the most touchdowns ever, as well as the most picks ever. Josh Allen leads the league in touchdowns scored this year. Yes, he turns the ball over a lot. But that's not showing the full story of his turnover margin. That's the reality of the situation. He's still amazing. He's still great. The Bills' defense has crumbled, and the supporting cast around him has failed him time and time again. If Gabe Davis would have just looked for the ball and gone where he needed to go in overtime and caught the touchdown pass that Josh Allen was throwing, the Bills would be sitting at 7-5. They would have just beat the Eagles. The 49ers would have the 1 seed in the NFC, and this conversation would be even more different. More pro Josh Allen, less pro Jalen Hurts. But instead, the supporting cast lets him down, and they fall short. Number 4, Justin Herbert. I talk about the Bills letting Josh Allen down. Well, the Chargers say, hold my beer to the Bills week in and week out, and they top it. They find a way to top it. It's impressive and amazing how well they consistently top it. The Chargers are an embarrassment to the NFL. Brandon Staley will be fired after the season, barring a miracle of biblical proportions. The defense is overpaid. Most of their players are washed up. Austin Eckler, I like him. I've liked him for a long time. He's a shell of himself athletically. We saw it in the Packer game, that zone left run, and he just does nothing. He does nothing. He goes nowhere. All right? Herbert is being asked to bail this team out time and time again. You've got Quentin Butterfingers Johnson, who can't catch a clutch ball to save his life, and a defense that can't get a clutch stop to save their lives. They're terrible situationally. Justin Herbert has been terrific. Turn on the film, and you'll see just how many more yards and just how many more touchdowns he would have on his stat line right now if this team knew how to catch consistently in the clutch. It's a shame what is happening. I mean, really, 6-5-4 are all quarterbacks that are just being consistently let down by their team, and it's in that order. At number 6 is Mahomes, who's being let down close to the third most of any of the quarterbacks in the NFL, and they still have as high of a record as they do because their defense is great. And then you've got Josh Allen, who's probably the second most let down roster-wise, and then you've got Justin Herbert in the Chargers, who is the most let down quarterback I have seen. I've never seen a team fail a superstar quarterback so consistently as the Chargers do. Number 3, Tua Tagovailoa. He's been phenomenal. Everyone wants to talk about how he's a Tyreek Hill merchant, yada, yada, yada. He's a great quarterback. He throws the ball with precision and timing extremely well. He doesn't make the off-schedule plays. He's not going to break sacks. He's not going to rush for a bunch of yards. He's not going to make all these cool, flashy plays, but he's going to deliver an accurate ball on time, pressure or no pressure, and it's going to be a big-time play most of the time. When he gets that ball in Tyreek Hill's hand, and no one is better at doing that than Tua, they make special things happen. Tua's been terrific. I don't think Tyreek Hill's dominance in the offense and him clearly being the best player in the offense should take away from the fact that Tua is also terrific. Number 2, CJ Stroud. He's been phenomenal. He's crushed every expectation we could have possibly placed upon this man as a rookie, leading the league in yards, on pace to break the rookie passing yard record, on pace to be the first quarterback since 1938 to be a rookie and lead the league in passing yards. He's setting records. He's shattering expectations with a very young roster and a rookie head coach. What more can you ask of a guy? He's been incredible. So props to CJ Stroud for beating the Ohio State allegations. He's been incredible. And number 1, Dak Prescott has been almost perfect with the exception of his week 1 game against the Giants. It's week 1. He wasn't asked to do anything anyway, so he just kind of, in the 49ers game that he played poorly in. Other than those 2 games, he's been incredible. Leads the league in touchdowns. He nipped his interception problem in the butt like that. Led the league despite missing 5 games last year, and then this year he's got 6. Total 180. He's been phenomenal, wildly efficient, very accurate, makes off-schedule plays well, reads defenses well, makes plays on time from the pocket, good footwork, good sequencing, good timing. He's been terrific this year. He's really pieced his game together. McCarthy has improved the spacing in his offense to provide for a more cohesive and quarterback-friendly environment. That entire Cowboys team playing well right now. The defense, a little iffy. Everyone wants to rave about the Super Bowl defense. I don't see it. I think a lot of those players kind of got overrated playing against worse teams, and now they're playing better teams. Their production's starting to decrease. Not to say Micah Parsons isn't amazing. Not to say Deron Bland's not a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but Deron Bland just got torched against Seattle, and they asked Dak Prescott to make a fourth-quarter comeback against a team with a winning record, and he delivered. Very impressive job. He's been great pretty much all year, and he deserves to be recognized as the current best quarterback in the NFL. On that note, let's shift to part 2 of Randy Ranks. My teams, my top 10 teams. I've been waiting to put these guys in here all season long. I didn't think the moment would come, but it is here. At number 10, slipping in, is the Green Bay Packers. They've been phenomenal the last month of football. The last 3 games, Jordan Love has arrived. The defense playing better despite losing players. Their younger guys are balling out. Jonathan Allen's balling out. Keyshawn Nixon balling out. Ballantyne balling out. We've got guys flying all over the place. Special teams playing better. Defense playing better. Offense piecing it together. Putting up 27 points against the Chiefs. That's the most points they've allowed all year long. We're used to the Chiefs having a bad defense. They had a top one, and Jordan Love played maybe his best game of his career against the best defense he might have played his entire career. I am so beyond impressed with what Jordan Love and this Packers team have been able to do to turn their season around from 2-5 to 6-6. Very, very impressive. They now sit at the 7th seed. They're rolling. Number 9, Buffalo Bills. This ranking more so has to do with the teams in front of them being bad, losing their quarterbacks, and losing games, but really just losing their quarterbacks, than the Bills being impressive. Because I have become a Bills doubter. Their defense has fallen apart. Coaching doesn't seem that great, and it's the Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs show every week. That's not a recipe for success. It's certainly not a recipe for playoff success, but that's all they have. Bills are at 9 because the Steelers lost their quarterback, the Jags lost their quarterback, and Joe Flacco's not it. And that Browns defense is starting to crumble with injuries. That's why the Bills are in the top 10. Otherwise, they wouldn't be. I was very tempted to put the Packers at 9 and Bills at 10. Very close there. I struggled with that one. Number 8, the Houston Texans. This is a team that actually does belong in the top 10. The rest of these teams all belong in the top 10. I've been wildly impressed with the Houston Texans. I raved about CJ Stroud. Enough said there. Number 7, the Detroit Lions. I've raved about Jared Goff. That defense is crumbling. Injuries have taken their toll, and it's become one of the worst defenses in the NFL the last month. They got to lock it in and start to plug these holes defensively, or this league is going to become a flash flood very quickly, and they're going to find themselves swiftly exiting the playoffs. That's the situation for the Detroit Lions right now. I love their culture. I love everything about their coaching staff, the way they built it up. They're not going to be the same next year because Ben Johnson is certainly leaving next year. So they're going to have to piece it together this year. And I'm not so sure they can do that. With the injuries defensively, they look like a team ready to break. I love their culture, and it's going to hold them together for the time being. But in the playoffs, I don't see them beating a great team with the defense playing as poorly as it is. You're going to ask Jared Goff to put up 35-plus points in a hostile playoff environment where they might inevitably have to go on the road, especially with the Eagles and the 49ers being ahead of them in seeding now. The Lions won't drop below the 3 seed. But if they have to go on the road to play either the Eagles or the 49ers, I don't see that ending well. So that's where we're at with them. I am concerned, to say the least. Number 6, just lost to the Packers, Kansas City Chiefs. Got to take a tumble. The defense just had the worst game of the season. The offense can't seem to be clutch. They were handed many yards. Yeah, I know the no-call PI was bad, but before that, the refs gifted them about 25 seconds of time and 15 yards on a bogus penalty. All right? And then they gifted them more time by calling Marquez Valdes-Scantling out of bounds and the clock stopping when his forward momentum was clearly stopped and it should have been a running clock. The refs simply got everything wrong, so I'm not going to say they favored one team or the other. I think that's silly to say one team was favored because the refs gave both teams calls that benefited them. You could argue the big kicker was the no-call PI, but they wouldn't have even been in that situation in the first place had that unnecessary roughness call been made. So just a disaster class by officiating. But the Chiefs defense, now I'm concerned with the injuries on their side of the ball that they suffered in the Packer game. Receivers continue to show me no sign of improvement. Travis Kelce's production has declined. This is a team with second round exit written all over itself. They got to figure it out and fast if they want to beat good offenses. That's the only way they're going to be able to do it, is if these receivers learn how to play football again. I covered everything else when I was talking about Mahomes. Enough said there. Down to number 5, the Miami Dolphins. My gripe with them is, of course, not beating a winning team. Their offense struggles with physicality against physical defenses, against good physical defenses. They're going to need to fix that. And if they do, they're Super Bowl contenders. If they're not, they're first or second round exits. That's the reality of the situation. We'll see what happens come playoff time. That's when the Lions will have to prove what they're worth. But for now, a lot of question marks. Number 4, Philadelphia Eagles. Had to drop in a few spots. They just got bludgeoned by a clearly better football team. They're still good. Their secondary, though, has some holes in it. They just signed Shaquille Leonard to play linebacker, hopefully kind of plug some holes in the linebacking core. Offensive line, great. Receiving core, great. I still like Jalen Hurts. They need to pick up the run game a little bit. They still have some stuff to figure out. None of these teams, besides one, are complete football teams. So the Eagles are at 4. 3, Ravens stay at 3. Same explanation as the last week because they were on their bye week. So same issue there. Kind of same issue. They've been at 3 for a while, I believe. They're a very good team with a very good defense and a very good offense with a strong, balanced attack that can get you any which way. So they are a tough team to beat. Lamar Jackson can kill you on the ground with his legs. He's done a terrific job throwing the ball. The receivers just need to pick up their consistency a little bit for me to trust them more. But this is a very good, well-rounded football team. Ravens at 3. 2, Dallas Cowboys. An explosive offense with one of the best receivers in the league. And right now, the quarterback playing better than anybody else. He's been terrific. I just raved about Dak Prescott, so enough said there. I like the coaching staff. Dan Quinn has done a terrific job as a defensive coordinator. Their defense has backpedaled a little bit. They had a bad game against Seattle. Seattle has a ton of stars, so it's not the end of the world. They got to button some things up, but they're a very good team I like a lot. Of course, they still have some holes on the defensive side of the ball and maybe some consistency on the offensive side of the ball against good teams. We'll see when they have some strong tests against other good defenses. And number 1, everyone knew this was coming. I even said it was coming in my last YouTube video. The 49ers are the best team by far in football. If they play like that, no one's going to beat them. If they play like they did against the Eagles, they're not beatable. It's as simple as that. They were terrific. I'm wildly impressed with them. They're just complete on every level. Front 7, secondary, offensively, their offensive line. Obviously, they have the best offensive lineman in football, best tackle in football. And aside from that, offensive line isn't great, but it's certainly good enough. George Kittle, amazing. Deebo Samuel, amazing. Brandon Ayuk, really good. Christian McCaffrey, amazing. Brock Purdy, playing as efficiently as anybody. And wildly underrated, he leads the league in yards per attempt, and he leads the league in air yards per attempt. He's not a yak merchant. He's not a screen and slant merchant. He throws the ball downfield accurately with good timing, good anticipation. He reads the middle of the field well. That's why I ranked him 8th in my quarterback rankings. He's not just some bozo that rolled in there. He's legitimately a very good quarterback, and he deserves to be somewhere in the MVP conversation. I just don't think he's the front runner because I don't think you can justify the third or fourth best player on the offensive side of the ball being the MVP. And that's what he is. So that's my limitation with him, but he's playing great football right now, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it. That's going to do it for this episode. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and comment. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when I upload more videos. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more shorter clips, Madden clips, and so on. Follow me on TPP Gaming for more Madden YouTube videos, as well as the Ultimate Team Road to the Super Bowl videos that you will be seeing on this channel. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. And as always, I will see all of you in the next video.